The terrorists that attacked the Kaduna-Abuja-bound AK-9 train on March 28 have released some 7 more hostages, leaving 27 still in captivity. The released hostages reunited with their families today in Kaduna. That was yesterday, I should say, after spending some more than 130 days in captivity. Those released include 4 children and 3 adults. It was gathered that Sheikh Ahmad Gumi, for the first time since the abduction of the train passengers, helped to facilitate the release of these 7 persons, but it is still unclear if any ransom was paid. Speaking exclusively to Arise News, Sheikh Ahmad Gumi appealed to the terrorists to release those in captivity and accept dialogue. He also called on the Nigerian government to be proactive in securing the release of others still in captivity.
There is no bound for negotiations. 65 of us boarded March 28, 2022. We boarded the train, a federal government train. For goodness sake, what does it take the federal government to negotiate, to sit with these people, find out their grievances? They have innocent people, hardworking people, men who have left their children, they have left their wives for over 135 days. There are people there stranded. They don't have any means. Please, we're pleading on the federal government. Please, sit with these people. Seek Sheikh Gumi's audience, please. By the grace of God, with him here, he could assist and alleviate and help solve these problems.
It's been tough, but we thank God for his grace and mercy. And the prayers, we know that we've prayed, and we know that we've had the prayers of our loved ones with us back in the forests there. It hasn't been easy. Everyone has been sick. I came back with my daughter sick because there has not been medication. She hasn't been responding to treatment that from the medications they've given. But we thank God for mercy and grace, and we just pray that the rest of the people that we left back would be released as soon as possible. So whatever the government or whoever it is that can support to get them out, we pray that they do whatever they can to get them out as soon as possible.
We're happy. After 135 days, this family, this beautiful family, innocent family, have secured their release this morning. My call is targeted to 2 people. First, the kidnappers. What will they benefit from taking innocent people? People who are themselves weak, especially children, families. What benefits do they want to incur? If they are complaining of grievances, then you don't vent your anger. You don't vent your anger on the innocent. So I beseech them and pray to them to please release everybody. And let's come and sit down on a negotiating table and see how we can solve our problems together. I am happy that none of them is injured or none of them is physically abused, but the psychological trauma will need a lot of time to heal. The second target is the authority and the nation as a whole. How can we leave children like this, a family like this, 135 days? Whatever it is they want, I don't see any limit to negotiations so that we can free them and then sit down and see how we can tackle our problems.
Moving on to the next story, Ondo State Governor Rotimi Akeredolu says one of the 5 arrested suspects listed by the Chief of Defense Staff, Lucky Rabo, is not among the suspected attackers of the St. Francis Catholic Church in Owo. In a statement, Governor Akeredolu admits that there was a mix-up by Rabo. It says one Idris Ojo, who was named by the military as number 14 on the wanted list of Kuje prison escapees and was arrested in his brother's house in Akure, as such, could not have been among the Owo attackers. Governor Akeredolu acknowledged the confusion which the statement had created in the public space, considering that the ugly events of June 5 attack in Owo preceded the unfortunate incident at Kuje prison. So Damawa State, where a terrorist gang and a 65-year-old ringleader have been arrested. Ibrahim Mohammed and members of his group have been reportedly carrying out several kidnappings in the state, including the case of a 9-year-old girl who was abducted in Jire local government area. The state's commissioner of police says the terrorists were apprehended in connection with several crimes, including kidnappings, armed robbery, rape, and culpable homicide.
The command has succeeded in removing 38 unworthy persons from our space. Most of these people are engaged in cases of kidnapping, armed robbery, rape, homicide, and Sheila activities. From the items you see in front of me, you see that these are product of housebreaking and thefts by unscrupulous persons who mostly, we've come to realize that there are people we employ to provide security for us, but they act as moles for kidnappers. Anybody that has committed a crime will surely face the wrath of the law.
All right, let's start with Tundu this morning.
People you employ as security acting as moles for kidnappers. Is that not chilling? I'll start with Adamawa because a few days ago, do you remember there was a report a few days ago about a 32-year-old graduate who was kidnapped in Adamawa? Ransom was paid, but he was killed. And now you hear about this news. It's excellent news. I don't know if it's the same gang, but it's just so important to know that really we're making progress in this fight against insecurity in this country. And it's also good with regards to the Adamawa story that certain police officers are being promoted for their efforts. They deserve it. We can all just feel a little better about security here. But what we don't want is this kind of good news that you've shared this morning, Rufai, coming in fits and starts. This needs to be the norm now. We all need to hear more of this. There was another story that's been reported today of a military airstrike, a successful military airstrike in Kaduna, where a terrorist kingpin and 29 others were killed. So I hope that this is a sign of momentum in the fight against insecurity. With regards to the new batch of released passengers, I'm really emotional watching them. It's actually a miracle that they can string a sentence together after what they've been through. And I think they made that effort on behalf of the other people that they left behind in the terrorist camp so that they are not forgotten. They want to be heard by the Nigerian government so that they can remember that these are actual human beings that have been left behind. They have been released, but they must have even survivor's remorse to be so lucky to be released, and they've left other people behind. And it's extremely worrying to hear that a 60-year-old lady was among the people released because her health has deteriorated. And how wouldn't her health deteriorate? What she's been through, the ordeal. And you see these innocent children. Look at these children. How could this have happened to children in Nigeria? How on earth could this have happened? So I think that what these, the latest batch of kidnapped passengers have done is actually really heroic. And I've noticed that to be the trend. Every time they're released, they don't just, retreat as they deserve to after what they've been through. They actually go out of their way and selflessly make an effort to remind the government and the public of exactly what is at stake here. And also thanks to Sheikh Gumi and Tukur Mamu. Tukur Mamu publicly expressed his exasperation at having to negotiate this kind of awful transaction, and he wanted to quit as negotiator. But I'm glad that those two and others, as a northern senator who's remaining anonymous, people like that, who might also just choose to remain anonymous, are stepping in to fill the gap. If not for them, none of the people that we have seen would have been released. They'll still be in the terrorist den, and it'll just have been horrendous. And it's heartbreaking. While I'm really glad that we're making progress, we cannot forget the circumstances from which we seem to be making progress. It should never have come to this in Nigeria. As for the mix-up with General Lucky Irabor, well, he had a very good day at the office, and that just remains, notwithstanding. That was a great announcement he made for Nigerians. I did wonder at the time, and I thought maybe Idris Ojo committed a crime after the Owo massacre and then ended up in Kuje prison. But now we know he was not connected to that. But the fact still remains, we're making headway, thank goodness.
Okay. Yes, those children. When I watched this yesterday afternoon, on Newsday, when we had this breaking news, I almost break down myself, because to see those kids that these kids have been in the forests for as many as 130 days. It's heart-rending. But that is what we have come to know as part of our daily lives in Nigeria, that they were released after that negotiation by Sheikh Gumi. Well, kudos to Sheikh Gumi and Tuko Mamo, who has been doing this job of liaising with these bandits. But two things we'll take from this, what these people have said. One of the young man who spoke dead said, the government should remember those who are left behind, who don't have the means. Who don't have the means. Tells you that money, ransom have been paid, and these kidnappers insisted on collecting ransom. So families must have sold property, borrowed money to ensure that they get out their loved ones. But that guy reminded the government, those who don't have the means who are still there, the government should not forget them. Then the other aspect is Sheikh Gumi's message, not only to government, but to the kidnappers, that they should toe the path of dialogue. What are their demands? I think Sheikh Gumi should be more explicit on that. Apparently, they are open to dialogue. They have demands they are making on the government. They should come out clear. And of course, he told them that this is not the way. If you have grounds against the government over neglect or whatever, you don't take it on innocent people whom you are keeping in the forest. So there should be perhaps a window, carrot and stick, as we are using the military, the kinetic approach to flushing out this bandit. Perhaps we should also explore dialogue, if they are open to dialogue.
All right, I mean, very well said. So, couple of stories we have here, but the very first one, and the very first jarring one that we saw about people that work for you, that might be those, sending attackers to you. I think just 3 or 4 tips, if I can quickly give. Do not ever show them ostentatious lifestyle. People that work for you, be careful. Be careful how you bring in words of cash to the house. It's really important. Be careful the kind of conversations you have on the phone, business conversations when you're around them, even with your drivers. We have had cases of people's drivers planting things for them. Be careful. And most importantly, always do what I call the unannounced method. Tell them you will come back home at a certain time, but deliberately come home a couple of hours earlier than that. Learn to catch them unawares. There's a lot you'll learn. I've seen a case where he told his housekeeper that was going to come home at a certain time. He was expecting he would come home by 5. He came home by 3 that day, and what he saw, he was shocked. So it's really very important. I know we cannot, but some people cannot, but use these people, that work with them, domestic staff, but please be careful. And I hope that those 3 tips will help. Secondly, I'm happy we're gaining momentum. And this is what I want Nigeria to do. I want Nigeria to fight back. I want Nigeria to show that it is a strong and virile nation that can fight its opponents and enemies. I want Nigeria to defend what it wrote in its own constitution, section 14, subsection 2b. That says the security of everybody is the paramount role of government. And that's what we vote government in. So I'm happy that they are doing it, but they should do more. We should never again have a place in our country where people are kidnapped in the train. Never. It is not acceptable in any way, shape, or form. And that's why the government should do everything necessary to bring those 27 people out. Because the only offense those people have committed was that they boarded a Nigerian train that the government said was a dividend of democracy to make life better for them, and now they've been kidnapped.
They ended up in the forest.
So they've been brought back. And let's also forget that people died in this attack. There are people that were killed. Quickly, we've forgotten about that because we're quick to forget. And when you also look at it further, concerning the Ojo case, I'm happy that there's been clarification. But I still feel there are people, other people too, that are suspects in that attack in Owo. They should still go after them. Those people must talk, and they must face the full wrath of the law. It's not the one that will try them in court, will go and lock them up in Kuje prisons, or people will go and release them at the back and go and shoot the place down. He's not the one that will give them jollof rice and pepper soup. Oh God, I miss Dr. Bati this morning. Like Dr. Bati will say, pepper soup, and we saw Ashwebi for them. And say we are rehabilitating them.
Repentant.
No, I don't believe that any should face the full wrath of the law. Because these people killed and they maimed. But I'm happy Nigeria's on the move this morning. God bless Nigeria. We're pushing.
But talking about the momentum, I need to see this on a consistent
level.
Time
that's
before
what
I can say there is actually progress.
And the thing is, if
no kidnapping of this nation follow because of that time.
And if they drop the ball, we'll be the one to come and say it out. Now we are praising them. If they drop the ball, we'll come back and say. So kudos to General Rabo and the army. Kudos to the police. Kudos to all the security agencies. But if they drop the ball, we'll come here and we'll talk about them. We want it. See, asking for a better country, it should not be a big ask.
No, it's not.
It's not a big ask. That's what we just asked for. All Progressive Congress APC chieftain representing Sokoto North Senatorial District at the National Assembly, Senator Aliyu Omako, has poured cold water on River State Governor Mr. Nyesom Wike's assertion that he lost the People's Democratic Party PDP presidential primary because of religion. Omako's position came as it emerged yesterday that the leadership crisis in PDP over the outcome of the party's presidential primary was becoming intractable as members of the National Working Committee, NWC, appeared to have ditched Wike and were fraternizing with the national chairman, Dr. Yocha Ayu. Responding to an earlier remark made by Wike on the loss of PDP presidential tickets, Omako pointed out that religion was not a major factor in Nigeria's national elections.
So, my brother, I beg to agree with you that you don't lose the election last convention in PDP because of religion. Because Muslims voted for Obasanjo twice as a president in this country. Muslims voted for Johnson 2 times, for South as Christian twice as president of this country. So I'm sorry, sir. I disagree with you on matter of religion here. Take note, please.
All right, a lot to chat about this morning.
Well, Aliyu Wamako there sort of issuing a rebuttal to his host and letting him know that Muslims do not vote in terms of who is a Muslim or otherwise. If anybody has lost an election, it's got nothing to do with Muslims. And I think that's actually extremely important to stress. What we want is national unity. And we actually want divergence along ideology, along policies and ideas, not along faith. So that kind of argument, that kind of rhetoric is dangerous and it should really be condemned. So I think that Wamako was well in order to really quickly make that clarification.
Yeah, I think I should just commend Aliyu Wamako for telling his host straight to his face that he was wrong in assuming that he lost the PDP at the PDP convention because of religious and ethnic gang-up. Because that was what Wike said. And he told the crowd, we all watched the the PDP convention as well as the APC convention live. And we know the intrigues that went into that. It had nothing to do with religion. So it was a good thing that his hosts, the guest told the host, Wamako told Wike to his face there, that look, no, this is not the way to go. People don't vote on the basis of religion. You lost, you lost. And I think somebody has to help Wike. Because in addition to the image of the big elephant in the room, he should also not cultivate this image of a loose cannon. Just say anything. This is somebody who wanted to be president. So there has to be some presidential aura around you. That you lost at the PDP convention is not the end of life and should not be the end of your political career. In fact, Wike ought to have come out of that convention taller than before the convention. But all the utterances and his actions seem to be diminishing the stature he gained in the run to that convention. But good thing, Mr. Nyesom Wike, Nigerians don't vote based on religion. And your convention was not based on religion. Yes, if you say yes, Tambuwal stepped down for Atiku and asked his supporters to vote for Atiku, it was not because of religion. Political calculations, yes, you will say yes, Tambuwal must have betrayed you because Nyesom Wike's stake almost everything he had for Aminu Tambuwal to challenge Atiku in 2015. Yes. But if you are saying somebody betrayed you, say so. Don't rub it on his religion, as Wike is trying to do. I think that was good speak by Aliu Wamako.
And I concur that it wasn't a great thing for him to say that religion played a role. He fought a good fight and he lost. You win some, you lose some in life. And I don't see why you should extend it and not try to whip up sentiments of religion. Because this is what we try to talk the politicians against in this country. So it is now obvious from what Wike said that it is the politicians that whip up the sentiments of religion. Because now you've looked for many reasons that you've lost. You've talked about betrayal. A lot of people say yes. Now you are now pegging it on religion. Religion played no role. He made a good showing. At some point, he was well on his way to winning it. If not, what happened with Tambuwal? And if you've got qualms with Tambuwal, he should go sort it out. Not bring religion into it. Correct me if I'm wrong. I thought they were friends. I thought this same Wike went to donate 500 million to Sokoto when something happened in Sokoto.
They used to be friends.
They used to be friends.
Yes.
But if they are no longer friends, they can sort out the... Usually these politicians, I don't care too much for them because when Wike and Tambuwal reunite...
Or do you see Wike inviting Tambuwal to come and commission anything again?
Their interests might not align today, but when they fix their fight, you will not be there.
Okay.
You remember Wike and Umahi. If they told you that Wike will invite Umahi to come and commission something, would you believe?
Truly.